You're doing. It's nice to see you.
You're staying busy.
She's the busiest non-retired.
I'm not retired, This is Heather Zimmerman.
Hi, I talked to you earlier.
We have met.
Probably, yeah. I don't want to say I've been around, but I've worked in the area and advertised for a while, so.
Side myself to make sure that people in council that all
Yeah.
sense of harder.
Yes, I saw the other night.
Yeah, I was just talking, I was like, where did somebody bring it?
I know.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
Hunchar was in town.
It would be better if you moved that back.
Yeah, but I usually take it back, but
You would recognize.
it's up to rate, so I'm
Great
used to
guy.
that.
Long beards?
No. But no hair.
As I've said countless times,
He looks great.
Chad was years younger than me.
I need 4.
But my next door neighbor was his my best friend growing up. And then Chad,
This is what I'm supposed to do.
I think
Well, if you just keep it back there.
It's closer, and if you stand, is the reason behind the mask.
Okay, I was 88, but my brother was 91, and
That's why I'm
he's
here.
going with, he graduated with,
that was my brother, yeah.
yeah, he graduated there. Jason Harbonic.
So I think he might be a little sporadic.
Yeah, so I was older, I knew that, but I expected my brother was in with somebody.
I love it, moving back here. Now my kids are going the same way.
Yeah.
All right, campers,
It's like a typical old school neighborhood, yeah.
They're closer.
I never lost that feeling, yeah.
we will, if it's all right with the other end of the table there, we will, we will call the Economic Development Committee meeting for the 22nd of August to order. I don't think we have any business, so I'm not too worried about a quorum. I know we have, and we have a guest that would be able to tell us much more than I can. But one of our committee members, Dave Boucher, has been in the hospital. He had a run-in with something in his noggin, and it was removed on Monday. And I spoke to him Tuesday, and he's already into rehab. I mean, it's a tremendous story. He has long been a fixture in the committee, and it is uncertain whether he'll be able to continue going forward with a combination. And some other health issues as we all encounter as we get a little longer in the tooth. But a long-running joke between he and I was when he told me they found something in his head. I said, "Are the doctor sure it's not just the cement?" But apparently it was something else, and the doctors next door at the hospital, he speaks extraordinarily highly of the physicians and stuff, so we wish him the best. He is on the shelf at the moment. So we will open the meeting with public comment. Are there any public comments from anyone? We have some guests from the, I keep calling it the Visitors Bureau, but it's Pennsylvania's Americana, which eventually I will catch up with that.
That's all right, it is the Visitors Bureau.
So I will turn the floor over to Crystal Seitz, who has been here many times to update us on what they do and how it can help us as we continue our journey of economic development. So, Crystal.
Excellent, thanks Fred, and thank you for having us again. And first I'd like to introduce my replacement. I know there could be no replacement, but she's pretty good. This is Heather Zimmerman, and Heather actually is Dave's stepdaughter.
Yep.
So she's been through a lot in the last week or so, but maybe the second you can fill in on Dave's
Progress.
regaining where he was
Yeah.
a few months ago. But anyway, Heather will be taking my place. I'm just consulting part-time until the end of the year. And what we'd like to talk to you today is about the Tourism Improvement District, which so graciously Wyomissing agreed to be a part of several years ago. I think it was 2020. And it's been very helpful to our organization, but also to all the businesses throughout this area, West Reading, and the rest of the county. So, if we want to start, maybe you want to give them a quick update on Dave and how, I know Fred, but how well he's doing.
So my stepfather, Dave Basher, he raised me, since I'm about 10 years old. So he's, very near and dear to my heart and our family's heart. He had a glioblastoma in addition to having Parkinson's disease for several years. So he's experienced a bunch of falls, at least recently, and then last week found out he had this brain tumor, and they got him into surgery very quickly. He went in Monday morning, got through surgery very quickly, and is doing very, very well for an 88-year-old guy. So, anybody who sent well wishes, thank you. Our family appreciates that, and he should be back with his cement head, hopefully sometime soon. So, thank you. Sure will. Yeah, he wanted to be here today. He said, I wanted to see the kid talk. But he's going to go to the rehab today instead, which we're grateful for.
We're trying to figure out how to get him in by phone. We're like, it might be a little too much.
You have something to say, I'm sure. But
I'll tell him he did very well.
I will.
So I think we can move slides. We're trying to split this up.
We're tag teaming a little bit today. So on your
Mm-hmm.
screen, you'll see that the hotels that are involved in the TID, or the Tourism Improvement District. Of course, we have 6 hotels in Wyomissing who participate, 3 in Muhlenberg, and then we actually have 4 that are voluntary, who see the value in being part of the TID and have chosen to become part of this improvement district on a voluntary basis. So we have a great crew of hoteliers who are very involved and very engaged, and we're thrilled to have them.
Perhaps you could just mention how it works.
So the Tourism Improvement District is actually, it's an ordinance that Wyomissing helped us put into place. It's a 2% assessment on a hotel room night. The hotel doesn't pay it, the visitor pays it. You have this in many places across the country. We were fortunate, we are the only ones in the state of Pennsylvania right now, besides Philadelphia, who, Philly was into this way many years ago, who have this assessment. And what it does for us, right now we have it in Wyomissing and Muhlenberg and the 4 other hotels that are voluntary. It allows us to collect the dollars directly into our organization and then use them to support marketing areas like Wyomissing, West Reading, and in the city, the Doubletree is one, and some other areas. What's interesting is the state right now, there's legislation on the table that we're supporting, we're working hard to get through, that will allow us to spread this across the county because it's been so effective. We've doubled the dollars coming into the Bureau to market. We're almost spending $1 million in marketing dollars each year now to get the message out about the area. It saved us during the pandemic, this extra 2%, but it also, we were 7% higher across the board in occupancy during that time than any other hotels in Pennsylvania or any other counties in Pennsylvania. We have a hotel board. They are the individuals who help direct us on how we spend it. Generally, they're very good. I mean, we have great relationships with our hotels, which wasn't always the case, and you have a lot of younger owners that have come in who are really open to new ideas. We have a board and advisory committee of all the hotels who help us determine how we're going to spend it. We keep them posted. We go to them and say, this is what we like to do, and generally it's a pretty easy, go ahead and do it. So it's going really well. We hope we can expand it. We did lose the Crown and also the Inn at Reading, and even with the Inn at Reading where it was, we still did receive about $1,000 a month from them in hotel tax, which weren't long-term rooms, or really short-term rooms, right? So anyway,
Better off.
but right, we are better off. You're right. Anyway, overall, it's doing really well, and we thank you for the support of it, because without your support, we wouldn't have it. We did it uniquely. Nobody else has done it by municipality across the country. Most have done it by state, and then by county as a whole. We had to do it this way for the time being, but we're hoping in the next year, when this legislation goes through, we'll be able to expand it. We'll need our county's support to do that.
Is there any way to measure to what extent tourism affects business in the borough?
Well,
Or more regional assessment?
we know there is a state assessment that we get. It's from Tourism Economics, and what we know is that tourism overall for the county brings in over $900 million a year in direct spending. So that's, I mean, think about it, it's gas stations, it's coffee shops, it's, you know, there's much more to this than just, we'll go to a restaurant. It was funny, an odd story, but I was getting a pedicure a couple weeks ago, and the girl sitting beside of me was saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired." I said, "Well, are you from the area?" I could tell, you know, she had a bit of an accent. And she said, "No, I'm here for the baseball teams." But her and her daughter were getting pedicures and finding stuff to do all day because their son didn't play till that evening. Now imagine there's, you know, hundreds of teams coming in over the summer. This happens all the time. So it's that kind of stuff. There's residual, and then indirectly, it's over $1.3 billion to the county every year. So meaning, you know, if you go to the Reading Phillies game, they have to buy hot dogs to feed people. Well, they somehow the state does this where, okay, there's a percentage of hot dogs that are coming from Burke's products. Is it Burke's products? Yeah. And so, you know, that's the residual effect of everything. So
How do you count tourism dollars? I mean, do intra-county spending, like if I go to the Reading Village, does that count as a tourism dollar?
No.
No.
Yeah, they do it by, the state, Tourism Economics does it by credit card mostly. That's how they're able to tell now. You know, there's a give and take, there's a plus and minus to that, because not everybody, I could have lived in Florida, my credit card was from Florida, but I live here now, right? What we're hoping is with the dollars that we have collected from the TID, what we're hoping is to be able this year to do a tourism consumer research that's just Berks County. So it's really a deeper dive. It's probably about $60,000, and we just didn't want to spend money on that in the past, but now we're able to.
But in rough numbers, then, it's people from outside the county that are coming into Berks County that you're counting as tourism dollars.
I don't have numbers, but yeah, it will help us determine all that. And we have a demographic and a geographic that we work with for everything that we place from a marketing standpoint. And what it'll allow us to do is even refine that more and know exactly where people are coming from. There are some new products out there, softwares that allow you to follow, it was IP addresses, but I think it's more mobile directed now. You can tell where people are coming in from, where they've gone, where they've eaten, you know, you can, each time you do that for a big event, it's like $40,000, or you get 4 for $40,000. So we haven't looked into that yet, because I think they're still perfecting it. And then when you get that, what do you do with it? Because I know West Riding has done it with the Art in the Avenue, and Mark Radcliffe shared that information with me, and I was like, okay, now what do I do with this?
So
You know?
for what it's worth, I was at the West Riding Task Force meeting last night,
Yeah.
and they were talking about how they just did that for Art on the Avenue.
Mhm.
What they're doing is extrapolating that information to determine where these people were coming from, and then they're going to work with Oak Tree to do billboards. Like they were potentially saying all the way up to New York, all the way down to Delaware, because they're seeing from that data people are actually coming that far,
Right.
or
Right.
vice versa. A lot of people from Berks County go to Phoenixville.
Right.
What if they start advertising in Phoenixville for people to come here?
Right, and we're always advertising, get the overnight guests. Now we do, it's interesting because maybe after this we can get the name of the person that would be best for us to talk to in West Reading, because besides Nick Price, maybe.
That's who it was.
Was it? Yeah, because the locations, the geographics that we promote to are heavily New York, New Jersey, Washington DC, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and am I missing one? We're now in Ontario because we've seen a lot of Canadian traffic coming in, and we're going to be starting in Connecticut as well. So, and sometimes we touch Ohio depending on what kind of things we're doing. We're not doing billboards because that's really just about brand. That's not about driving people to a location. It's more about, hey, here's who we are. Then you got to get them quickly to decide, do I remember that website? And because we tested billboards in the past, but, it would be good to, we'll talk to Nick.
I would think that it's, don't, I know you don't, but, you can't lose sight of the fact that there's 400,000 people live in Berks County, and keeping it top of these
Right.
events
Local.
and venues top of mind to them is
Yeah.
important as
Yeah,
well.
well, we have,
Especially without a newspaper.
right, exactly. We do have a very strong events calendar on our page, and
Even this morning's newspaper didn't have the weather in.
I know,
It's
always,
God's name.
it's supposed to be in the back of the front section, darn it.
Speaking to what you said, Fred, though, we just started on September 13th. We're going to be in West Reading on Main Street in front of Sweet Ride Ice Cream, and we're going to say we did get the scoop on PAR, Pennsylvania's Americana region. So we'll be offering a free scoop of ice cream on us, and in turn, people will come in. We'll force them to get one of our travel guides, but also we're asking for some quotes that we can use in our new travel guide about what they like about Berks, what their favorite place to eat, where they like to go to have fun and so forth. So taking what we do to the streets kind of is something we like to do and move that around the county, because if we don't have the buy-in of the local folks as well, they're our ambassadors for when travelers come in, but they also, we're all looking for things to do on the weekends and so forth. So we'd like to be known as like your resource for everything Berks, and come to our website, look at our scheduled events, look at our partners, and see what Berks has to offer. So we need the locals' involvement just as much as we need people from the outside coming in.
I think it's around, it's probably a little higher now, but 35 to 40% is the local individual that comes to our site. And local meaning it could even be a half hour, 45 minutes out. So they touch a lot. Our events calendars are really strong, so that's where we see a lot of action locally.
You mentioned the 2 hotels that closed in the borough. Has that affected tourism in Berks County? Do we have a shortage of hotel rooms? Has it existed?
I'll let the past hotelier speak to that.
What it has done is affected our ability. It's become more of a challenge to bring larger meetings and conventions into the county because we lack space. So obviously the DoubleTree is our largest hotel with beautiful event space, close to Santander Arena, obviously, but it does limit us as to what we can go after and try to attract to come to Berks because of our lack of meeting and convention space.
So we don't have a conference center.
We do not. So it's very important for us to have something like that, here in Berks that can hold a large capacity of people so that we can, go after those RFPs and be more attractive to those types of groups. So yes, it does have an effect.
Well, we'd be touching on it under old business, but what's the latest on that site?
The Inn at Reading or the
Not the one.
Reading Vitality Hotels insist that they're going to reopen it. Like Crystal and I have had this conversation probably 6 times. We're getting to it. It's next in our portfolio. We're focusing on this one, and then we're coming there to finish it. So
Initially, when the first time I heard the name of Vitality Hospitality or whatever they're calling themselves, I was concerned, and I asked if they were going to have a conference center or do something with the ballroom like it used to be. And at that time they were saying no. And that's the same question I asked from the Inn at Reading, Chris.
Mike.
Yeah, I asked him the same question, and he had no desire to have anything like that, nor was he gonna go out and look for somebody who may wanna lease that building from him to have a, that type of venue. And I'm thinking, we only have one show in town. We're kind of missing the boat here, and I can't believe that these people, they want to develop these properties, but, they just want to have rooms, and they don't want to, do anything else. And, I don't know if, you can encourage them as things move along, and they were trying to, but it's not.
I won't speak to food and beverage operation because I was never in that area of hotels, but obviously it's a big staffing thing to tackle. You should have someone there to sell it and promote it and so forth, so that's, another expense. But that's where we could come in too, and we're, gonna be helping, if they would become a partner with us, whatever space there may be, that's where we come in and can help market that space as well, and, get it out there and get it sold. So, I don't know what the reasoning would be. We even made a suggestion to the owners of the Inlet Reading about having a dinner theater. That could be something interesting for our area that we do not have. So again, it was just a suggestion. We don't, it's not really our business to make that happen, to actually work that out. But there are some things that our local counties offer that we don't, that, puts us up against a bit of a challenge, so. And space is one of them.
One of the things, and maybe you want to speak to this too, is with these dollars now through the TID, we are looking to do a study, a tourism asset study.
The tourism asset study is just that, is to try to determine what we, as Berks, what holes we have. What could we do to attract more business, especially on a year-round basis. And one asset idea is sports complex. Spooky Nook, if anyone's familiar with that, in Lancaster County, has had a huge impact on the county. They built hotels around it just because it's been so busy. And a year-round facility like that would be obviously very helpful in our shoulder months of the winter and so forth. So that's an idea, but we would be interested to hear what an actual study would come up with and say, hey, these might be some options of things that you could bring to try to get to the county, to bring more people here and have them stay overnight and spend lots of money, so.
Because when a visitor comes in, they spend close to $300 a night if they're staying in a hotel room, between food and gas and all the other things, attractions and things like that. So every time we pull one person in, we're gonna ask $300 to the community.
And the stronger the community, the more people coming here and staying in our hotels, of course, increases the money that we receive to help continue to market. So it's kind of a perfect cycle, and that only helps our operation continue to pursue other avenues of advertising and marketing to make us get our message out to a larger mass of people.
If I recall, you had been at Hotel Kutztown.
That's where I was most recently.
Which was not on that list.
No, it is not.
Why not?
They're not in a TID zone, so that's on my list, because I helped open that hotel. That's owned by the Kutztown University Foundation, a separate business from the foundation, so I know those people very well. So I think hotels, being a former hotelier, I think they think that there's some sort of, what's the hidden cost to me or the hidden expense, and there really isn't. It's simply a 2% assessment that the guest pays, the hotel does not. So I don't know if that's a stumbling block or not, but we're about to find out, so.
Are there any other municipalities you're looking to have pass ordinances, or, we have just 2 at the moment, no one else has come on board past that? What sort of hurdles are you running into?
Well, we'd love to have Spring Township. Homewood Suites is very interested in being part of it. Fairfield is a different story. However, if Residence Inn is in the Wyomissing borough, who Fairfield and Residence Inn are owned by the same person, they are participating in it. So we've sort of held off a little bit because we've been waiting for this legislation to go through, because once that happens, we can go back to our county commissioners, and we've had those conversations with them already, and say, help us, if this ordinance goes through, we want to pass it for the whole county, because it supports everybody. What we do, for example, the hotels that are in it, they have free membership, they have free advertising, we have it's called Book a Room. It's a direct booking, non-commissioned booking system that people can come in and book rooms right through that system. And most hotels, you might not be aware of this, but they pay a 15% fee back to somebody like Expedia or Kayak so this allows us to be able to do it directly for them. And there's, if we move, let's talk about this slide, and then we'll move to the next one, and then you'll see. But you can see 2022, the revenue that came in from the Tourism Improvement District. 2023 was a little bit lower. There was pretty much an onslaught surge in 2022-23 from the pandemic loosening up and people starting to travel a lot more. And it could all be timing, you know, when the monies are collected to what you see in the revenue side, but it's holding its own right now.
But also the loss of the intervetting and the Crown Plaza's revenue as well.
Yeah, good point. And if there is, if the other hotels throughout the county come on, that could almost double. Because there's some bigger, Bear Creek, Holiday in Morgantown, some bigger hotels.
So where is this legislative?
Oh, it's back, it's on the floor right now. It went, and I don't understand, this is like the most complex thing in the world to me, right? But we do have a meeting with the state today, which we might get a little more clarity around this. But it went through the House Appropriations Committee, and Representative Sapita Jahani, she helped to co-sponsor it. And so it went through the House, went to the Senate now approved it with some questions and some additions that they wanted to. It's back at the House, it just has to, sitting on the floor at the House, when they go into session, it needs to be passed through, then hopefully the governor will sign it. So it's been in the making for 3 years now. What I never realized is if you hit a certain time of the year, like the summer, and they go out of session, sometimes you have to start all over again in September.
So they go back in session September 16th and they're only in session for
For a
9
little
days.
bit,
9 days for the remainder of the year.
Right.
So if that
Right.
doesn't get
It has to
action,
get through.
someone else is going to have to
Yes.
introduce it next year.
And we do have Pennsylvania's Restaurant Lodging Association, their lobbyists have been working heavily on it. And everybody, there's a group of us across the state, a small group that have been part of that initiative. So let's keep our fingers crossed. If we all did business like that, it might not be pretty, let's put it that way. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see, I'll let Heather speak to this because this is, but let me share, this is a Smith travel report. We get this every month. It talks about occupancy and average daily rate and revenue per, it's a par, per
Available
available room, average room, isn't it? So, she can speak to this.
The Smith Travel Report, the hotel's called the Star Report, is sort of the Bible in the hotel industry. It is a completely objective measure of how you do versus your competition. And so if I'm the Hampton Inn, I have a comp set of 5 to 10 other hotels in my set, and it ranks me against them. So it would be the TID participant hotels are the top line, and then the other hotels, the ones who are not part of the TID group. You can see the difference in occupancy. Rate is slightly higher, but what hotels actually take to the bank is the RevPAR, is the revenue per available room, because it's not always getting the most revenue, it's getting the best revenue for your properties. So you can see right now through the, I don't have my glasses on, the current month, July 24 versus 23, our RevPAR for a TID participant hotel is higher than, the other hotels. If you look also, what's interesting is, some of our neighboring counties, Lancaster, we would expect, to have a higher RevPAR in general because of their heavy, tourism activity and lots of hotels. But we're right there with Lehigh Valley, those numbers are looking good. When I first came on board back in May, after getting to learn more about the TID and looked at some of these star reports, my first comment was, why would you not want to be a participant? Because again, no expense to the hotel side, it all goes back to the guests. Guests are paying, when they're traveling, they're paying for parking and resort fees and all kinds of other fees. So a 2% add-on to their bill is really insignificant, but it's very significant to the dollars it brings to us to help market. So
the top panel is the current month over month, but the bottom is year to date. And I think if you look at occupancy, you can see how things swing depending on the month. Like July for Lancaster, 67%, come down to Lancaster 56% overall for year over year for occupancy. You can see where we're doing better as a TRD participant than our other hotels, and even Lehigh and Lancaster. So, we look at this to judge how is it going, so we're happy with it. Does that help you? To the next one. So you have this in front of you. Did you need a copy of this? Do you want a copy? And.
Can you take another one?
You want one too?
Yes, thank you.
Here, there's two here.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's, you've heard some of the things on the left-hand side, occupancy, et cetera. You can see where we are as far as the end of the fiscal year, where we are as far as what came in on the assessment, and I'm hoping this matches up to what was on the other sheet, but it could be timing again. But if you look at the right-hand side, in this past fiscal year, we spent additional $100,000, I think it was, on marketing because we had a co-op with the state, and the state, we put in $200,000. We split that. PAR, who was our regular base organization, put in $100,000, and the TID put in $100,000. The state matched us with another $400,000. So you can see the difference in the numbers from 2022 to 2023. The web session numbers, the number of users that we had. Book a hotel click is where people come in, they can register for their room right through Book a Hotel, or book directly, call it. But most times they'll come out and they'll search for the rate and then they call it hotel. Facebook and Instagram, you can see how that increased, and that's all paid. That's paid Facebook, paid Instagram. Mm-hmm. And Google, the travel spike is like, we reduced travel spike a little bit, and Google, we placed as much, but we did increase dollars there. Still very, very strong. And we had a commercial that we decreased. We have to redo a newer commercial. Our commercial's 3 years old now, and but it still was very, very strong. The one thing we did do in the last year was we worked with a group called Strunk Media. They are out of Kutztown, and they designed our website a few years ago. We moved our website to a bigger platform that it's basically a tourism platform. Most visitors bureaus across the country use Simple View. So with the monies that we had from the TID and from Imagine Berks, if we all remember that, we were able to go to this much larger platform. But Strunk also has, they work with a group, they own a partnership with AutoSuite, which is the largest car dealership data collection software, I guess, in the country. And we were able to start placing emails through them to different locations up and down the East Coast. You can see the difference in the number of emails that we put out because we had additional dollars to spend. I mean, it's all about money with marketing, and people cut that right away, but if you don't market, people don't know about you. And you can see the views and the click-throughs, how that worked for us. And we do that twice a month. We put out emails. It speaks to all the events that are going on in the area. Again, the same geographics we mentioned before, plus this, we added Connecticut, and we did Boston and Tennessee, just to see what will happen, because we can segment that to see, okay, are people really interested in that area and coming here? Travel guide, we still produce 170,000 a year. We've already distributed 145, so we're hoping that we don't run out by the end of the year. That's over $100,000 cost a year. Yeah. So, but it's popular, and people still want it in their hands.
Another thing I'll mention quickly, the increase between Facebook and Instagram. Also having we now have a dedicated digital marketing specialist on our team, Sarah, who's been great. Getting us out there with video and reels, and I'm going to say things that I'm sure aren't the hip term, but she's really been very good at that as well, and growing our fan base and followers and stuff too. So it's amazing. She just did a video at Stampede Barbecue that had, I think, 86,000 views or something. People from Texas, or they're like, this looks like the real deal. We'd like to come here, and it just happened to be this one reel that sort of took off. So she deserves credit with really building that up for us too.
I'm going to repeat my pitch that you consider contacting WH1Y. They talk about travel once a week local events. They're
Interesting.
mainly Philly but if you could hook that audience and start looking at events in Berks.
We just met with WEUU yesterday, so.
WHYY.
Yeah.
Philly. Okay, thank you.
That's the Delaware, Delaware, New Jersey, Philly
Right.
area. They claim we're in their area. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
we're
sure we are.
fundraising.
Yeah.
I'm sure we are. I'm not sure about anything
What have you
else.
found with age groups with travelers? Has it gotten younger, older? Has it, I mean, do you see, I mean, I know you're talking a lot about families, but do you see that 20 to 35 crowd coming in? Because your social media, and Bill, we're talking about like internet stuff here and technology. But like your Instagram and your social
Right.
media is just skyrocketing,
Right.
and all
Instagram.
these screenagers today and everything,
Right.
like,
Right.
you know.
I like that term. I
Well,
like
like,
that.
we're learning about this in the restaurant business,
Yeah.
screenagers want everything right in
Right
front of
there.
them, right fast, and
Although
that's
the
how they make
trends-
their decisions.
The trends that we see from a visitor perspective and that age group, they also want something in their hands. Because a
Yeah.
lot of them are tired of being on their screen all the time trying to find stuff.
Mhm.
They want, it's amazing, who
Bigger.
would ever think, right? But yes, our demographics, what we see is 25 to 35-year-olds. 35 to 50, and then 50 to 65, they're all about the same. So 20% of our visitation, maybe a little higher, in some cases is all within those three age ranges, but they're always like bouncing like this.
Yeah.
18 to 25-year-olds, a little lower, it might be about 12,
And
13%.
they don't really have the
They don't have
disposable
the disposable
income,
income.
right, but that
Right.
25, and one of the things we're looking into, not for our restaurants, but just in the industry, is this intelligence with the apps that just send these reminders of when something's going
Right.
on. I
Right.
mean, my kids with their Chipotle app and McDonald's app, it's like free fries on Monday, and they tell me about
I
it.
know.
And it just keeps,
Right.
it's,
Chipotle is amazing, it has taken off, like incredible, yeah.
but like the mobile app, and just, so you are seeing younger people coming in?
Yeah,
like
and
that
we're always
25.
looking for the next thing.
The next
Like we do a lot of webinars every week with different groups across the country that they're specifically tuned in to visitor marketing. And every time we see something new, we investigate it. There's something called Visit Widget. You wanna talk about that a little bit?
We're gonna be meeting with them tomorrow on a Zoom call. Visit Widget is like an app you can have on your phone, and you pull up an area and all the events and all the things going on for that particular area are right there for you on your phone. And also it can help you build like a little itinerary for your trip so that you know, like, I wanna hit this event, and then I wanna go to this restaurant, and I wanna go over here and check out that museum. So we'll be meeting with them tomorrow morning, because we like to, weigh that against another program that we have called Banwango, which is, if any of you saw our sweet and salty trail, our ice cream trail this year, that was through that particular platform. So that's more like a gamified type program where you earn credits, and then you come and you can redeem them for some prizes and stuff at the end after completing the trail. But that has been very, very popular this year. My last position was with the Kutztown Folk Festival, and part of our issue there was being an older festival to try and bring younger people there, so that was a challenge too.
That is
So looking
old.
at it, very old.
Fun.
And also trying to think of new ideas and new things that we could bring there. If there was one thing, like if it was having a new craft beer vendor that brought that 25-year-old to us, we hope then they were like, whoa, look what else is here. So that's what we're hoping for here as well. And that those trends that Crystal mentioned that we're staying on top of also shape our travel guide for next year. Like you're hearing a lot about self-care or wellness travel. People will sometimes go on solo trips just to kind of recharge and rejuvenate, and we have a lot of great options with all our outdoor recreation for people to do that. So even Girlfriends Getaway, which was a program we had many years ago that was more like a spa type of program, we're thinking that it doesn't have to just be spas. It could be that outdoor recreation. It could be going to visit a particular museum for the day and so forth. So we're on that. But it's every day you learn something new. So
One thing we should mention too is in the last year, we did work with Walski investments to invest some of the TID money. The board agreed that we should pocket some of that and invest it to earn some higher interest and long-term dividends. So in case there is a falter, like another pandemic, we're able to have some money to continue to promote. Like I said, the TID itself, even though there wasn't tons of money coming in during the beginning of the pandemic, it saved us. It really did. So, we agreed that we would do that, and now we have that at least to fall back on if we really need it. And it's been doing very well for us.
How do we get like large scale events, like if there's items with like multiple stops, maybe like a tour, not necessarily like a band or a show, but even just other national events, how do we get on their radar for the area, or are there any that we've identified that we're trying to entice to make the Greater Reading stop for them?
I think one of the, and just jump in wherever you want, but one of the things that we promote to meetings and convention groups, but smaller ones now, because we don't have the capacity from a hotel perspective to handle, 4 or 5, 1,000 people coming. We wish we did, and then a convention center goes out. So we're not doing quite as much as that because we can talk to them, but we can't get them here because we don't have the space. We do still have some conferences, smaller association meetings that we bring in. We just bid on, but unfortunately lost the county commissioners association meeting for the state. That's 200 or 300 people that come in. So there's things like that we continue to go after and bid on. But from a bigger perspective, like with the convention center, it depends on the level of the event space that they have, but they work with like the next level down, concert goers, but that's all through SMG, which is David Farrar at the convention center. He handles all that. So if somebody said, like say, I'm not sure what you do, but say you say, hey, I know there's an IT group that has about 500 people that have a state convention or a regional convention, if I hook you up, can you bid on that? Can you see what it's about? Then we attack or whatever. So we're always looking. It's just, unfortunately, we don't have the kind of facilities that we used to have. But hopefully our tourism assessment research will tell us, hey, this should be built. And then we all together have to work to go after, somebody who can bring that here. Occasionally we do have hoteliers or their management groups call and ask about the area and ask about, what kind of hotels do we have here. They get to a point where they're looking at a certain area. We had one that was looking in front of Drexel, the medical school center piece over there. That fell through because that was right before the pandemic, but they wanted to put a hotel there thinking, because Drexel would be lucrative as far as people coming in, that they could fill that hotel. That fell through. So there's things like that that we get calls on a lot. And there's a network out there in that world that people will call and say, hey, are you able to handle something like this? Can you bid on it? It's always a bidding process. Sponsorships. Some of the things we do is actually, there was Priscilla Shire who came in. She's a women's religious speaker. She comes in now every year. We do a $4,000 or $5,000 sponsorship to help support her coming in. But she brings 4,000 people to the area, and they stay in all our hotel rooms. They split up and stay everywhere that they can. So it's, the value on it is they probably bring about $3 million into the area for $4,000, $5,000. Yeah.
What happened to what was it, the Seventh-day Adventists?
Oh, the Jehovah Witnesses.
With the JWs.
Yeah.
Well, if you go downtown for parking, JW parking,
Right,
or
right.
JW parking, yes.
No, they are not. This year was their last year. They were down, in the beginning, we've had them almost 20 years. So in the beginning, there were 9 weekends that they came. And they reduced down to 6 or 7, then down to 3. And many of the 3 that were coming in were local. What they've done is they've built kingdom halls in different areas that they were drawing from Delaware and the Philadelphia area and Maryland. They built kingdom halls there so they can handle those groups there, so they're no longer coming into the area. And it's unfortunate because, as Heather can tell you, right? It's our fill.
Yeah, it was great business for the hotels. Back when I got started hosting them, when they first started coming, it was that Thursday and Sunday night business that they brought into the hotels that, you know, I typically would not have had. So they were very attractive to me. It's a tough group sometimes to manage, you know, but very nice people, which is very hard on your property. But that, again, the Thursday and Sunday night business was something that I would not have had otherwise, and I think I can speak for the other hotels in that respect. But you know, the other thing is, as the hotels started raising their rates, and you know that doesn't help either. You know, the group that we have now, hotelier wise, I think is they're very congealed. You know, they're ready to work together, and they know, like, hey, if we bring this here, let's make this a fantastic, you know, experience and keep these groups here. So I think it's a little bit different than it was years ago. And but yeah, it was a great piece of business for my property.
That's kind of tough when you have, you know, basically, you know, not to discount the other hotels or anything, but you have one major hotel you're ready to, like Fred loves to talk about. We have no way, we don't make it easy to come ready in Burns County.
Right.
It's a challenge, you know.
It is a
Our
challenge.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
It's a challenge.
easy.
Yeah. We don't have a train, we don't have a plane,
Right.
you know, if you have a
But
bicycle,
the
you
good
can
We do
11
have
miles
dirt
away.
bikes. We do have dirt bikes.
We have a turnpike, yeah, that's,
Yeah, we have dirt bikes.
and it's frustrating.
But the good news is they're coming. They are somehow, even with the loss of the outlets,
Yeah.
I can remember, I was saying to the county commissioners, they like sort of chuckle, the outlets are going away. I'm like, you gotta fill it with something else though. You know, you realize when they're gone, that was 200 to 300 buses at least a week
Yeah.
in their, you know, highlight.
Yeah.
What do we do after that? And at that point, we weren't in a position where we could say, we should be doing this and this and this. We were looked at as just the marketing arm. Well, we've done a lot of advocacy. We now have the dollars to be able to do the research that we need to do. We've proven ourselves over and over and over, but it's still, what we do isn't healthcare, services, or manufacturing. So it's like the step system kind of thing.
And the other thing is with, you know, that we were known as the outlet capital of the world, and again, without having a vision of what happens next after that was lost, we still are like, well, what are we? But the good news is we are a lot of things, you know, outdoor rec and museums and, you know, cultural events and festivals and stuff. So we can still appeal to a broad audience, but we just don't have that one thing to kind of hang our hat on like we used to. So we're trying to turn all that into a positive and, you know, obviously continue to market what we have and the great facilities and assets that we do have. But, you know, losing the outlet capital of the world, you know, name that you could go anywhere and people knew who you were just from, you know, saying Reading. So I worked for a hotel that was specifically built back then on Park Road, the Holiday Inn Express, which was a Country Inn and Suites in 1996, because it was going to be the only hotel close to the outlets. You know, they put all their eggs in one basket back then. You know, obviously we had other accounts, but that was really how we sold that hotel. So
I think we talked a lot about all these pieces already, so we can probably pass that one. We thought we'd give you a bit of a sampling of, I know I did this last year, but where we are and how things have, we've updated some of our advertising. So we can run through these just to give you, I love seeing this stuff. The kinds of ads that we're placing. This is through Facebook, Instagram, Google display advertising, travel site, through all the things that you know. But you can see in the spring, we sort of updated the look because we had been running that kind of stuff for the last 2 years. So we said, okay, let's refresh it. And it's a shame it's bright in here because when you see the colors, like they really pop. They really pop. So these are some of the things that we've been using that. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
We're fancy.
Yeah. So we can go to the next one. These are spring. This is what's running in the spring. This is running spring, summer, fall. Some of these ads. And remember, it's about getting people to say, "Oh, that looks interesting," and click through. That's the whole idea behind these. It's not necessarily to show everything And it's just saying, oh, wait, look, that looks like it might be fun, or what is that? And then summer, fall, we have these plus the outdoor ads that we'll be running. And there's other festival kinds of ads, and this is just a clipping of them. And then summer, fall, we're running outdoor, because outdoor is huge, a huge market for us. And then this was our guide, which I left in the car, but I'll bring them in before I leave. So this is, a new guide will come out in 2025. This is the guide we use now, and it's been very, very popular. It's sort of fun and funky. And I think that's probably most of what we have to share with you today. I know you had a lot of great questions. I don't know if you have any other questions, but always feel free to connect with us, connect with Heather. We're happy to come out.
Mount Bradley used to have plein air people, and I guess because the guy who runs that is difficult, shall we say, that's a polite way of, it basically kicks him out.
Oh,
So if you're looking,
oh, that's good to know. And Mount Hope,
no, Mount Bradley.
Mount Gretna.
I'll write that down.
Note that down. Check it out.
Anybody have any other?
Yeah, so looking up, do you have any idea how much land is necessary for a facility like that?
Well, we were on a webinar with a sports complex company. That's all they do. They come in, they'll research, they build. And you can do, I don't know with Spooky Nook exactly what they have, but you can do sports facilities. They were talking about 15 acres all the way up to 40 acres, depending on what you place on them. You know, a lot of Spooky Nook is inside. But one of the things, we've talked about this for many, many years. You know, we've talked about even the Berkshire Mall property. How do we get a sports complex here? Because we're more direct from New York to here than if you're going all the way over to Lancaster or Hershey. And at one point there was one looking to be built, and this was like in 2007, up in Perry Township. And unfortunately, the community there argued it because of traffic. Now they have warehouses on that same road. It was the Perry Township golf course area right in there. But it's still a great idea. There's a lot of money in youth sports, a lot of money.
Well, what happened to the area, what was it, the Bell Labs building or something out in
The
Muhlenberg?
Expo Center, that's still owned by Nielsen Audubon Group. And what they did, this going way back, that was a great win for us. And what it did was it filled our off months during December, January, February, but we needed people here. What ended up happening though was the management that was running that Expo Center piece wanted to be back in near Fort Washington because that's where they all lived. And eventually Don Nielsen, who his sons run everything now, but his sons decided that they owned that whole Oaks area, you know, where the Oak Center is now. And a warehouse became available, so they renovated that and built it into an Expo Center so they could take everything down there. It was a big win. We did have other planners who were pretty big in the market asking us to find space for them here because they wanted to start one on their own because they knew how successful it could be if really the attention was put into it. And unfortunately, we looked at Fairground Square Mall, didn't have high enough ceilings. The JCPenney building that was there, ceilings weren't quite high enough, so they brought boat shows, bigger shows like that, and you know, they need higher space. So we could do that again and look at something like that. Maybe one of these warehouse buildings won't go off as expected, and you know, grab one of those and start that kind of initiative again. That would be great. Yeah, it was really good for us. That was sad.
It's a shame.
It is a shame, and we fought very hard to try to keep them here.
Thank you.
But they still own the whole building up there. Not doing much with it. I mean, there's trucks up there parked everywhere now. It's like a truck warehouse.
Anybody have anything else? Cool, well, thank you for
Thank
coming in.
Oh,
This was
very
exciting,
nice.
it was
Thank
good,
you.
thanks for all the questions too, that was great.
Best wishes, Heather, so,
Thank you.
we look forward to having you back again.
I would appreciate that, thank you. Hope
Typically
everybody's
an
doing-
annual update.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And Crystal, don't be a stranger.
Okay. Well, I'll be around.
She
He's
was
not gonna get rid of me that quick,
I
but
sense Crystal's having a little trouble letting go.
I am. Well, you know who, Chris Carreras wanted me to stay for a while and help Heather transition, except I will tell you, she's a very quick study, she learns very quick, she's doing really well. But, you know, he said, can you please stay for a while, so I'm here till the end of December. But, you know, this is my home, and I know, you know, Chris, I drove past your house the other day, I was coming up from somewhere down in Ole, because I live in that area, and when I look at places like yours, and I think, yeah, this is a wonderful place to live, and nice job, is that a pool behind that fence? Yeah, that's nice. Really nice.
Thank you
So
all
thank
so
you,
much.
and thank you all for your support over the years, I truly appreciate it, and I love coming here to share, because you guys are so gracious and, you know, easy. Really,
Appreciate that.
sometimes we don't get that lucky.
Yes.
I'm going to drop off, I brought travel guides and one of our great, these pens are really great. Maybe I'll get 10 for them, I forgot it before, so I'll bring them up. All right,
So,
thanks.
and then hotel.
Good to see you.
Good
Right.
to see you.
See you, Crystal.
Yeah, okay, Fred, I'll see you
We
around.
had the
Yep.
Candlewood and
Thanks,
the
Crystal.
Katrina
Yeah,
Suites,
thanks,
it
Michelle.
was
Take care.
John Curry.
All right,
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a private Indian owner,
Right.
yeah.
So then who owns it now?
Thank you.
On our-
Catalala organization.
Okay.
on our agenda, we have, another visitor.
Yeah.
Ryan Hunchar here in FastBridge
Hi, hi.
Fiber. I thought it would be worthwhile, the initial presentation when FastBridge first came to town was done here at the Economic Development Committee. And, work is underway, but we'd like to get an update on how things are going. Sure.
Good morning. Real quick, brief background, my name is Ryan Hunchar. I have been with FastBridge Fiber since 2022. I was employee number 4. As the current state of the project, we currently service roughly about 45% of the borough. We have plans to obviously to expand that, but expansion-wise, you know, as Michelle has probably seen in the past, we're not going, you know, full force and kind of pushing our way through. It's more of a delicate operation compared to just bull rushing through it. All in all, you know, we have a good response. We have, you know, a lot of positive feedback from the customers that we have signed up. You know, things have, and I'm sure you've seen it, lack of calls into the borough. It's just a matter of change. We've had a change of leadership. I would say the past year, which was positive for us. It's just a different mindset. A mindset that's more aligned to just a community rather than a business. Which I know this is an economic development, you know, committee, but we, as I said to Michelle the other day, we serve the community. The community doesn't serve us. You know, and that's kind of a big sticking point for us. You know, obviously, our primary focus is fiber to the home. We are also focusing, obviously, as we pass fiber to businesses and other, you know, institutions. I mean, what kind of questions do you have in regards to it?
People have asked me, that, let's say their modem goes out, okay? And they can go over to Verizon or over to Xfinity and pick up a new modem. And they're saying the drawback, with other companies such as yourself is you don't have equipment readily available and it takes a few days for them to get it in if somebody needs to replace something.
No, we
Is
have equipment readily available.
That they can go over to your,
Oh, to like a like a store or location. Got it.
or your offices over in Berkshire Heights and,
Yep.
and they can go over there and pick something up.
Now that, to be completely fair, that is actually add that. That's, you know, here's the thing, we're open to suggestions, and that's something that, to be honest, for us, no one has ever come, well, I'm saying no one has ever. first anyone has actually said that to myself. It's not a bad idea. I've actually had people, we've had people show up at the office for various reasons. You know, we've never, I hate to use the term kicked anyone out, we've never kicked anyone out. We've always, you know, brought them in and sat down and talked to them regardless of the situation or concern. But for something such as, you know, hey, equipment replacement, generally speaking, when it comes to things like that, you know, our turnaround time for service calls is generally within 24 hours. So whereas if something goes out, let's say a equipment malfunctions on a Monday morning, you know, and they make a phone call, we generally will have a technician there by the end of the day, Monday, or, you know, that same day. But to your point, I mean, that is something that I can escalate myself internally is to, you know, could we have a point of contact, maybe, hey, this is the situation. Although, to be fair, a lot of times when something, there is troubleshooting involved. I mean, it's kind of like, in all fairness, you know, hey, my modem went out, obviously there's no power, you know, we have to go out, check the outlet, you do things to, you know, do that. It's just to swap out an item, and they take it home and plug it in, and it's the same result. It kind of, not saying defeats purpose, but then you're delaying ultimately fixing said issue.
Yeah, just, you know, people just, I don't know one widget from another. I know, yeah, reboot it and see if that
plug it in.
Yeah, but,
you know, though, in all fairness, my wife is a chronic caffeine addict, and she doesn't have her coffee in the morning. Literally, it's my head. And her brand new Keurig that she got for Mother's Day back in May, literally she would turn on, it wouldn't turn on. And you know, obviously under a year warranty, we called Keurig, and the first thing they said was, "Are you sure it's plugged in?" Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's plugged in. Okay, well, unplug it. Plug it back in. Is it working? No. All right, we're gonna send you a new one. I'm like, okay, great troubleshooting. I get it. Yeah.
I was just, you know, people asked me about it. I said, gee, I don't know. I don't know what their future plans are.
Yeah.
I guess the main area is your area, most of the
Yeah.
hills. You know.
I'm up in the hills, and we've been with you for a while,
Yes.
and have had great service. In fact, we lost internet for maybe 2 days, a day. Was that like 2 months ago?
So I'll give a quick background on that. We actually, our main POP, as we call it, or CO, central office, is actually 1 Meridian, right on Meridian Boulevard. I think it was a Friday or Saturday, I forget which day of the week, it was towards the weekend. The owner of said business had, and I'm not knocking the owner, I'm just saying the owner of said business actually was having some work done there. And the crew that was there was using a backhoe and right through, not just I mean, it was actually about 3 different providers going in there, completely severed it. So that knocked out, when I say everybody.
Yeah, no.
And usually in those situations, I mean, that's, yeah, they did an all hands on deck. There was a lot of sleepless nights that weekend. But yes, that was that. For the most part.
But to your service commitment, they knocked $20 off everybody's bill.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked, everybody's bill was trucked by $22. Would they send out an email, we're sorry about this, you'll get a $20 credit, which was impressive. Very unlike Comcast. Very unlike Comcast.
You know, one thing I kind of a firm believer of, look, we would love everybody to sign up. The reality of it is, not everybody will. We understand that. It's business. However, I'm a firm believer, though, that competition ultimately is good for the consumer. I mean, prime example, I know it's not here, but Hazleton. Hazleton has literally one service provider, and that is Service Electric, where their literally cheapest internet package is $100 a month. And that's for the lowest package. And the reason they charge $100
That's Comcast in this area as well.
is because they can. Who else are you gonna get? This is your option. So it's one of those things where it drives forward, you know, progress and you know, for the consumer, really. I mean, because you will see companies to compete or they'll start to lower their prices down.
So you said that the
I'm sorry.
borough is a about 45% covered?
Currently, it's about 45%, yes.
And that is what primarily?
Is that mostly in the hills?
Wyomissing Hills, no, there's, my areas are a little, so Wyomissing Hills, obviously, you have part, east of Meridian, east of Spring, just east of Spring Township. And then also actually the area right off of Penn Avenue, before you hit the, I guess, the 222 overpass, going into like West Lawn, that was fired up recently. And then obviously we have areas down towards the museum. It is just a constant rollout, a constant expansion. There are some areas, and to be completely honest, there are some pockets that, it's not that we're not doing it, we have it planned and we have a jump off point if need be. There are some neighborhoods that either if they're an HOA or a private community, we would need permission to go in beforehand, or if, once again, let's be honest, it comes down to capital. There is a certain benchmark where we'll look at something and say, hey, what is your cost of investment in this particular area versus return, and we'll do it on what we call a success-based model. So, hey, here's 70 homes in this neighborhood. Okay, well, we've had 20 people show interest, or 25 or 30 people show interest. Okay, you know what, that would be, for us, would be a trigger to get that construction going. It just, because otherwise, if you have an area where you have 110-foot lot fronts, no aerial option, and it's completely buried, we try to keep our passing costs around $1,300 a household for profitability. With the completely underground, and I hate to say bullish way that things were done at the beginning, that they were looking literally in some instances where it was $2,400, $2,500 a passing, which you're looking at almost double of what your goal is. So we kind of have to look at everything and say, okay, from a financial perspective, does it make sense to do this now, or does it make sense to do it when it's not needed, but when it's kind of being asked for?
So you're not laid all over the borough yet?
Not all over the borough, no. There, like I said, there are, I would say right now, we're active, and I'm running at 45%. We probably are somewhere in the 55 to 60% range of currently having facilities in place that just haven't been activated yet. But like I said, there are things that we are constantly rolling out expansion. We call them edge out areas to kind of continue rolling through.
I've had people ask me, because you were kind of dangling the carrot for a while, and you came down Reading Boulevard from Clayton to Logan, and you did Logan from Cambridge Avenue to Reading Boulevard, and then everything stopped. And people are saying, when are we gonna get it? And I said, I don't know. They don't have to answer to us, and I've been telling them, call them and then tell them, express your interest.
And that is, to be fair, that is actually one of the things that we use, either a phone call or an address check through the website. They do log all that, and that's kind of what necessitates that. Hey, in this area, there's 30% interest. Of these addresses checking their address. Going down, and I apologize. So, what is Reading Boulevard? Comes down. Logan? You said?
Yes.
That's it. Thank you. So yeah, there's that development. When you come up Logan, you have two. They are older developments. I think they're older developments right there, left hand side coming up. There's on the eastern side you have a private community. On the left side there are two non-private but still older communities right there. That they are in our pipeline. They are being planned. And there are also areas between, going into, I say West Reading, but going towards West Reading that have not been built yet as well, that are being incorporated, even as part of Wyomissing, are being incorporated into the West Reading plan, just based upon the number of homes, we call them ponds or SA service areas, based on the number of homes and how we section it out. They're incorporated into the West Reading build versus the Wyomissing build, just how it was designed by engineering.
What are your plans for Berkshire Heights? We haven't seen or heard And be careful how you answer.
No. It's
Because I
not.
remember
No,
your
trust-
presentation.
Here's the reason I said. So, like I said, I've been here since the beginning, and my job initially when I was brought on, they had predefined 5 specific areas when I was brought on. Said, hey, these are the first 5 areas we're building. We need you to tell us where to build next. I said, okay. So I kind of, a lot of numbers, but basically shaped it out. And my goal was, hey, incorporate, encapsulate. You're already starting here. Why? Because it was the mindset at the time was, well, start here and go here and go here. I said you can't jump around. You have to kind of build yourself out. And I had Berkshire Heights. I had all that old. I'm not using the term regime, but the old guard, the old management, started slashing areas that were deemed not as incompatible, but it's like, oh, there's not a ton of people here. There's not a ton of people, which kind of put it on the back burner. With the change of, once again, change of leadership, a lot of those areas have come back. Now it's just a matter of fitting them in the, not say pecking order, fitting order. Our office is in Berkshire Heights. Right. So it's kind of, because that was one of the questions that came up. It's like, you don't even have service, you don't have your own service at your own office. It's like, trust me, I know.
That was going to be my next question.
I get, oh, trust me. Oh no, I get it. I get it. And it's kind of a, let's say it is a sore subject, but it's one that we are currently looking at rectifying. One of the biggest holdups for Berkshire Heights at the time was a good majority of, a chunk of what we call passings or households in Berkshire Heights consisted of is that Madison property, I believe, down there? Yeah, was the Madison property down there. Because they would look at it as, hey, you know what, there's 800, small area, 800 passings, and then you kind of, not take out the Madison building, you go from 800 down to, 400 or 500. And it's like, that was kind of the reason why leadership said, well, let's kind of put this on the back burner for now, because until we get an agreement or some kind of go ahead with Madison, they didn't want to just build partial, they wanted to build it all. It is absolutely 100% still on the table, primarily because, not that Berkshire Heights is nice, our office is there, and we kind of need to, live what we practice, what we preach.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was always kind of that was always a sore subject. Yeah.
Is there an area of the borough that you're currently constructing?
Current construction, right now, most of the rest of the borough is in engineering. I'm trying to think, there was, because Reading Boulevard, Love Boulevard, I would say most, if not all, of the current construction for Wyomissing has been, because we transitioned from a underground model, which is what they were kind of doing, and I was never a fan of it. Number one, because of cost. Here is a newsflash. Digging is more expensive than just spanning between 2 poles. Shocker, I know. Generally speaking, there are some areas where we were planning. I know this is not what I was. We were planning on running some fiber along Penn Avenue West, going toward, I guess, through Sinking Spring into Spring, that's what Township is. And PPL came back and said, oh yeah, great, no problem. It'd be $45,000 pole, because we'd had to replace every pole. And that's when we're like, hey, we're gonna find a different way, So it does come down to cost when it comes to poles. But in the same token, you can do 10,000 feet a day aerially, from a construction standpoint. Whereas if you do 1,000 feet a day underground, it's a great day. So we were able to literally encapsulate other areas of Wyomissing and other surrounding areas very quickly aerially.
Anybody have anything else? But you're committed to continuing on.
We are committed to continue on, absolutely. This is our home. This is our home base. We don't plan on uprooting and moving somewhere else. Obviously we employ. In this area, we're up to about. Well, actually, out of the area, probably about 30 employees locally. all in all, we're up to about 50 or 60 employees, give or take. Yeah, I mean, so we're not going, we've been to continuing on.
So if we get inquiries from our residents, the best thing we can tell them is
Refer them to us.
call them up.
Yeah, call them or go onto the website. Yeah, please.
Anybody? All right, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
And we'd like to have you back again sometime.
We will. We're just in the road.
Okey-doke. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks. Michelle, some old business update? Anything with your mind?
At council last week, council approved doing air quality testing of spaces within the Berkshire Mall. The hope is to use that data, which, this isn't finance, but just an update, it's $1,400 is how much it'll actually cost. The hope is to use that data as well as additional violation notices that I believe Chris's office is in the process of reviewing that Kraft drafted, to issue them, give the owner time to comply, which we don't foresee happening, and then eventually file for an injunction. Otherwise, I don't really have any updates.
Astonishing thing. Anybody have anything they'd like to grab? All right, well, thank you for being here. We'll be back on our regular schedule next month, as long as there is business to discuss. We're not gonna meet for the sake of meeting. Thank you. Good hearing.
George, I was at your new place on Park Road the other day for
Michelle, you want to tell him to turn his camera off, please?
next to what I had, because I forget, but it was good.
Perhaps just put it on.
Doing very well.
Yeah.
We don't want to record.
Yeah, busy.
Meeting's over.
Trying to get a new set.